With the inaugural spring breakout games showcasing the game's brightest young stars, prospect fever is at an all-time high. Paul Skeens, Jackson Holliday, Wyatt Langford, these are just a few of the names that have fans incredibly optimistic for their favorite team's future World Series aspirations. But the road to big league success is rarely straightforward, even if you're the #1 overall prospect or the former #1 overall pick. And there's no better recent case example of this than Royce Lewis of the Minnesota Twins. For fans who weren't well versed in draft orders and prospect lists, Lewis got his name out there with an electric stretch in 2023, capitalized by some playoff heroics that helped his team snap the longest playoff victory drought in the sport. But his road to that moment was marred with brutal injuries, position swaps, and plenty of disappointment along the way. With all that behind him though, I believe 2024 can be the year of Royce Lewis, and you should know what he's all about. If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the Jolly Olive channel. Let's turn the clock back 7 years. Royce Lewis was the first overall draft pick in the 2017 draft, which was the first pick made by the new Derek Falvey-led Twins front office. If that didn't make the pick important enough, how about the fact that the Twins lost 103 games the year prior, the worst record in their franchise history, and just the second 100-loss season since their rebrand from the Washington Senators. Lewis was looked at as the first step towards a bright future, and not too many people questioned the selection at the time. The pressure only grew for both the Twins front office and for Royce Lewis in the years that followed, as the Twins' first-round picks from the years prior turned out to be busts. Cole Stewart, selected 4th overall in 2013, made just 17 appearances with the club before being cut. Nick Gordon, the 5th overall selection in 2014, took 7 years to reach the show and was traded to the Marlins last offseason. Tyler Jay, selected 6th overall in 2015, never made it to the big leagues for the Twins and now pitches in Indy Bowl. Lewis's draft class, mostly highlighted by himself, Hunter Green, and Mackenzie Gore, has also turned out to be similarly weak, with many of the players showing either brief flashes of brilliance or failing to make significant contributions whatsoever. Lewis, however, hit the ground running, blazing from rookie ball to Double-A from 2017 to 2019. He stole bases with good efficiency, displayed great talent in the field at both shortstop and center field, and though he experienced ebbs and flows at the plate, many scouts assumed his hit tool would come around the more that he played, being that he was only 20 years old in 2019. And the accolades poured in from here. He was named the 2019 Arizona Fall League MVP, and MLB named him the #5 prospect in all of baseball that same year, in the company of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Fernando Tatis Jr. He looked poised to make the leap to the Twins' main roster in the year that followed. But just as he was about to complete his ascent from the minors and start his big league journey, the obstacles began to reveal themselves. First, COVID-19, which stripped minor leaguers of their regular season in 2020. Then, a far more devastating hitch in the road. Prior to the 2021 season, a year in which he was projected to join the Twins for the first time, Lewis tore his ACL, sidelining him for 9 months and ending his season before it ever began. For someone with 5-tool potential, an injury like this can seriously affect their outlook and trajectory. Lewis lost some natural speed, making him less of a fit at shortstop or center field, and only further heightening the need for his power to come around in his offense. But after 9 months of grueling rehab, he came back strong in 2022, hitting over 300 with a dozen steals and 5 home runs in 34 AAA games. 15 months after tearing his ACL, Royce Lewis finally made his big league debut on May 6th of 2022, and through a dozen games, he was absolutely stellar. Lewis batted 341 plate appearances to start his career, including a grand slam for his first big league home run. Keep that in mind, it becomes a pretty big part of Lewis's identity going forward. But just as he was getting the wheels turning on his MLB career, the same knee that sidelined him a year prior began to fail him again. In a cruel twist of fate, Royce Lewis tore that same ACL once again, making it twice in a 1.5-year span. He did so in a way very true to himself, making a spectacular catch to rob extra bases out in center field. But the catch was symbolic, perhaps signaling that if Lewis was going to stay healthy, he wouldn't be able to play the most difficult positions on the field. The Twins had to protect him. He was once again forced to undergo season-ending surgery. That takes us to 2023, with 2 torn ACLs, a position shift to third base, and the limitation of his once promising athleticism, expectations naturally shifted for Royce Lewis. There was still widespread belief in the organization that a healthy Lewis would be a definitive difference maker in the Twins' regular season, but the pillars of the franchise were set in Byron Buxton and Carlos Correa, both of whom signed big money contracts with the club despite their own injury histories. The 2023 squad had high aspirations to make the playoffs and put an end to their embarrassing drought of 18 years without a playoff win. But again, after returning from the sidelines in triumphant fashion, Lewis made his presence known as a force to be reckoned with at the plate. In his first game back, a year after ACL surgery number 2, Lewis crushed a 3-run homer in his second at-bat of the game, helping the Twins take down the Astros and tugging at the heartstrings of Minnesota fans all over again. He was back with thunder, and this time his stay would be plenty longer than just a dozen games. On June 9th, he had a 4-hit game against the Blue Jays. He totaled 5 3-hit games in the month of June alone. In late August, he clubbed a grand slam in back-to-back games. Then, 6 days later, he did it again. He also gave us a pretty respectable Gritty celebration, and I've seen some pretty bad Gritties during live television sports games. His breakout in grand fashion, 3 grand slams in an 8-game span to be exact, was the 4th such span in MLB history, a group of names that includes the great Lou Gehrig. He became the first player with 5 grand slams within his first 16 career home runs as well. Not only was Lewis's production consistent when he was fully healthy, but he absolutely lived for the big moments. With runners in scoring position in 2023, he managed a 1.237 OPS and 8 home runs in just 73 plate appearances. Royce Lewis closed the year with 15 home runs, a batting average over 300, and an OPS plus of 150. Incredibly great numbers that could be MVP level when spanned out over a full 162 game slate. Lewis finished the year with a career high 239 plate appearances, which was only about a third of the season, but a huge markup from what we saw previously. And with all the grand slams, cool defensive plays, and stolen bases, he gave hope to every young balding person out there that even without hair, you too can be the coolest person in the room at any given moment. Also, this is kind of a random segue, but I think Royce Lewis and Pablo Lopez have to be the best bald teammate duo in baseball right now. I can't think of a better one, so if you can, leave a comment down below.
We didn't have a lot of hair gel going on, but we had a lot of good vibes.
Getting back to his alien offensive numbers, since the year 1983, also known as the last 40 years of MLB play, only 8 other players have matched this level of production in their rookie season, and the names listed here are pretty staggering. 4 future MVP winners in Albert Pujols, Jose Abreu, Mike Trout, and Ryan Braun, as well as Rookie of the Year winners Yordan Alvarez and Mike Piazza, and Platinum Glove winner and Silver Slugger Fernando Tatis Jr. These names here have combined for 47 All-Star selections and 8 MVP awards altogether. We can take this a step further and examine high leverage situations as well, which Baseball Reference measures as just 20% of plays in any given game and focuses on situations with dramatic swings and win probability. Basically, these are clutch moments. Royce Lewis was batting over 400 with a 1300 OPS in high leverage situations last year. Of players with at least 50 plate appearances last year in what were considered these types of situations, only Yandy Diaz managed a better batting average and only Nolan Jones managed a better OPS. In fact, Royce Lewis is one of 4 players in the past decade to manage a 1300 OPS or better in at least 50 high leverage plate appearances in a single season, a small group that also includes Shohei Ohtani and Hanley Ramirez. There's no better example of Lewis's clutch factor than his first playoff games ever. With an 18-year drought weighing them down, Royce Lewis felt none of the baggage nor the pressure of the moment.
And now it is drilled deep to left field, going back Varsho, turning, looking, see ya! A 2-run home run for Lewis. The Twins are up 2-0. High fly ball, right field and deep. Springer back, turning, looking, see ya! He's done it again!
Delivering a clutch 2-homer performance in Game 1 of the wildcard series that was key in not only winning that game, but eventually the whole series. Lewis also became only the 10th rookie in MLB history to hit at least 2 home runs in a postseason game. Overall, in October play, Lewis clubbed 4 homers total, good for a 773 slugging clip in 7 games played. Royce Lewis is cool under pressure, and you can look cool under pressure too with today's sponsor, Shady Rays. It's a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. I was wearing my Shady Rays out in Arizona when I got to visit their store and hang out with some players in the Arizona and Colorado clubhouse, and I gotta say, it made me look a lot cooler than I actually am. And if my shades ever got lost or got broken, I have the most insane protection in all of eyewear thanks to Shady Rays, because every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. Right now, if you go to shadyrays.com or click the link down below, you can use promo code JOLLY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Thank you to Shady Rays for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to Royce Lewis. The crazier thing is that Lewis almost missed the postseason entirely, nursing a grade 1 plus hamstring strain from 10 days prior that ended his regular season prematurely. There's no reason to believe that he can't have a full healthy season either. Lewis is still only 24 years old with plenty of big league years ahead of him barring any other catastrophic injuries. Yeah, that's right. 24 years old. Is anybody else getting to that age where baseball players are not only their age, but also younger than them now? Because it sucks and I don't know how to stop it. While you may scoff at the notion that Lewis has MVP potential in his ceiling, his impressive sample size from last year put him on pace for 40 home runs, well over 100 RBIs, and roughly 6 WAR in a full season. He also placed in the 73rd percentile on sprint speed, even after consecutive years with ACL injuries, showcasing the raw athleticism Lewis still has in his arsenal. As for his defense, it was about league average, though I have reason to believe it could improve with another year, being that he was playing an entirely new position at third base. Plus, some more designated hitter time in 2024 could give him some much needed rest throughout the year. Speaking of which, let's look ahead to this year. Lewis currently stands as the 15th highest favored candidate to win the AL MVP award, alongside players like Yandy Diaz, Jose Altuve, and Marcus Semien. It might seem crazy to give this guy that much hype considering he's never played more than a third of a season, but there's plenty of reason to believe he can surge above those players this year if he's finally able to complete his first full season as a big leaguer. Let's look at some stuff under the hood and more in-depth stats from 2023. Lewis hit .339 with an .821 slugging clip against fastballs last year, which was good for a +14 run value, ranking in the top 20 of all MLB hitters. Had Lewis doubled his sample, he would have had the best run value against four-seamers of any hitter in baseball. And also, when he was not swinging hard at them, he was taking them at a pretty good rate. Lewis put up a respectable 8.4 walk percentage last year, which I think could improve in this season. He's just got to remember to, take the walks when he gets them, especially in playoff games, Royce. That's going to be kind of important. Lewis also hit extremely well against sliders with a .333 batting average, and overall, he didn't show any egregious weakness against any specific type of pitch. He was at or around league average for basically every notable plate discipline statistic last year as well. And while he hit above 300 against both righties and lefties, he definitely seemed more comfortable in a reverse split scenario, clubbing 14 of his 15 home runs from last year against right-handed pitching. If he can get some of that power while hitting against lefties, which is the conventionally stronger split for right-handed hitters, his numbers have a chance to balloon. Like any player, he'll certainly be due for some form of regression in certain areas. His .354 batting average on balls in play ranked in the top 30 of MLB hitters with at least 250 plate appearances last season. I expect the league to catch up to his hard-hitting prowess a bit more in his second season. He'll need to be less free-swinging and more selective, and he'll probably see less four-seam fastballs overall. But outside of that, between his plate discipline, fastball hitting numbers, hard-hitting metrics, and plus play both defensively and on the base paths, the only thing really standing in Royce Lewis's way is playing the full 162 game schedule. I think he can do it this year. It's been quite the 7-year odyssey for Royce Lewis, as Minnesota Twins fans have waited for their next franchise face to emerge. Whether you consider it freak injury history or baggage that he might not be able to escape, the talent is there for Royce Lewis. And in a field of talented players, I truly believe he could emerge as a dark horse MVP candidate. More importantly, I fully believe the clutch gene is a thing, and I think Royce Lewis has it deep in his DNA. I'm really excited to see what he can do this year for the Minnesota Twins. But that's all I got on him for now. If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the Jolly Olive channel. I'd really appreciate it. That'll do it for me, and I'll see you guys next time.